You've probably spent good money on probiotics. Maybe you've been taking them for months, faithfully every morning, hoping they'd fix your bloating, your sluggish digestion, your energy levels. And maybe they helped a little, or maybe not much at all. Here's what nobody told you. There is a single spice sitting in most people's kitchens right now, something so common you probably cook with it every week, that research shows can do something probiotics simply cannot. It doesn't just add good bacteria, it actively flushes out the harmful ones. And most people walk right past it every day without a second thought. I'm Dr. Daniel Hayes, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through 8 natural remedies that science links to a healthier gut, with that one standout spice coming right at the top of the list. We're going to keep this simple, plain, and practical. No confusing medical terms, no complicated protocols, just real information that you can actually use starting today. But first, I want you to think about something. Has your stomach been feeling off lately? That uncomfortable heaviness after meals? The gas that seems to arrive out of nowhere? Or that foggy, tired feeling you can't quite shake even after a full night of sleep? Most people blame stress or aging, and while those play a role, the real culprit is often something living inside your gut right now, an imbalance between the good bacteria and the harmful ones. Think of your gut like a neighborhood. In a healthy neighborhood, the good residents keep things running smoothly, the streets are clean, everything functions. But when troublemakers move in and start to outnumber the good residents, things break down fast. Your body feels that breakdown as bloating, poor digestion, low energy, brain fog, and even weakened immunity. The good news is that the neighborhood can be cleaned up, and the tools to do it are more powerful and more natural than most people realize. Type yes in the comments right now if any of those resonated with you. I read every single comment, and I want to know what you're dealing with. Now, before we get into the list, I want you to think about your own body for a second. Do you wake up feeling puffy in your stomach? Do you burp a lot after eating? Do you get constipated for a few days and then suddenly the opposite happens? Do you feel like your stomach has become unpredictable? If that sounds familiar, don't brush it off as just aging. Very often, it is your gut sending you messages that the balance inside is off. Here's the simplest way to picture it. Your gut is like a garden. The helpful bacteria are the healthy plants. The harmful bacteria are the weeds. If the soil is neglected, if it is fed the wrong things, if it stays inflamed and stressed, the weeds take over. At that point, tossing in a probiotic is like dropping a few seeds on top and hoping for the best. What really changes the garden is removing what is overgrowing, feeding what should be there, and making the environment easier for the healthy side to thrive. And that brings us to the first remedy. Ginger may look simple, but it does much more than most people realize. People think of ginger as something you use when you feel nauseated or when you have a cold. But research is increasingly showing that ginger can help shape the bacterial balance in the gut in a favorable direction, while also calming irritation that makes digestion feel heavy and sluggish. That matters because harmful bacteria tend to thrive when the gut feels inflamed and stuck. Ginger helps move things in a better direction. What I like about ginger is how easy it is to use. You do not need a special protocol. You do not need to spend money on anything fancy. Half a teaspoon of fresh grated ginger in warm water in the morning is enough for many people to begin with. Some people add it to soup. Some put it into a smoothie. Some steep slices of fresh ginger in hot water after dinner. The form matters less than the consistency. When something gently supports the gut every day, the effects build over time. Turmeric is another one that deserves a place on this list, and not because it is trendy. It is here because gut imbalance and irritation often travel together. When the lining of the digestive tract stays irritated, harmful microbes find that environment easier to dominate. Turmeric is useful because it helps calm that irritation, which gives the healthier side of the gut a better chance to recover. It is not a magic powder, but it helps change the setting. A simple way to use turmeric is in warm tea, soup, or mixed into food you already eat. A small amount regularly is more useful than taking a huge amount once in a while. And yes, a pinch of black pepper is often added with it because it helps the body make better use of turmeric's key compounds. You do not need to explain that in the video in a technical way. Just say the body uses it better that way, because that is simple and true enough for the audience. Now let's move to one that really changes this conversation: oregano. Most people think of oregano as the herb that sits in a shaker next to basil, something that gets sprinkled over pizza sauce and forgotten. But oregano has been studied for antibacterial activity, and what stands out in the research is that oregano and its natural compounds, especially carvacrol, show unusually strong effects against harmful bacteria. That is why this herb has drawn so much attention. This is where people start leaning in, because they realize we are not talking about some exotic plant from a remote mountain. We are talking about something familiar, something common, something many people already own and have never looked at twice. Oregano is one of those kitchen ingredients that quietly carries far more power than its humble reputation suggests. Now, I want to be careful here because this is where YouTube health content can go off the rails. Oregano is not an instant cure. It is not a replacement for medical care. It is not something that means everybody should throw away prescribed treatment. But if we are talking about natural tools that may help reduce harmful gut microbes, oregano absolutely deserves attention based on the available research. You can start simply with dried oregano in meals, especially in savory dishes, soups, vegetables, eggs, and roasted foods. That alone is a practical way to increase exposure to the helpful compounds found in the herb. But later in this script, I'm going to explain why concentrated oregano oil is the real standout. Before we get there, we need to talk about garlic. Raw garlic has a long history in food and traditional wellness practices, and modern research supports the idea that it can act against harmful bacteria as well. The key detail here is that raw garlic behaves differently from cooked garlic. Once garlic is chopped or crushed, it starts forming powerful compounds that are partly lost when it is heavily cooked. That is why people looking for digestive benefit often use a small amount of raw garlic rather than relying only on cooked garlic. The easiest way to explain this to viewers is simple. Crush one clove, let it sit a few minutes, then mix it into food. A salad dressing works well. So does hummus. If someone can tolerate it, even a small amount is enough. You do not need to turn it into a dare or exaggerate it. The message is just that raw garlic can be a useful natural support when harmful bacteria are part of the problem. Next comes apple cider vinegar, and this one needs to be handled with balance. It has become one of those internet remedies people either worship or dismiss. The truth is more moderate. Raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar may support digestion in some people and may help create a gut environment less friendly to certain harmful microbes, especially when used diluted before meals. It is not for everybody, and it is not something to gulp straight from the bottle, but used properly, it can be part of a broader gut support routine. What makes it useful in a script like this is that it gives the audience something practical. 1 or 2 teaspoons in a large glass of water before a meal is simple, easy to understand, and easy to test. It also fits the style of your reference scripts, where the viewer is given something concrete they can imagine doing today. At the same time, it is important to mention that anyone with reflux, ulcer problems, or a sensitive stomach should be cautious. Now let's talk about something many people overlook while they keep chasing capsules. Fermented foods. This is one of the most important sections in the whole script because it helps explain why food often works better than another supplement bottle. Fermented foods like plain yogurt with live cultures, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and miso bring living microbes into the digestive system in a more natural food form, and research has linked fermented food intake with greater microbiome diversity and lower inflammatory signals. That diversity matters because a more varied gut ecosystem is often a more resilient one. And this is where a lot of viewers will have a light bulb moment. They spend $30 or $40 on probiotics, but they rarely eat a spoonful of sauerkraut, a serving of plain yogurt, or a little kefir. In other words, they are paying for a lab-made version of something food has offered all along. That does not mean supplements are useless. It means food often deserves a bigger role than it gets. If I were writing this for retention, I would slow down here and make it personal. I would say, maybe your grandmother never talked about the microbiome, but she probably understood cultured foods, simple meals, and not overcomplicating digestion. Sometimes old food wisdom and modern research end up meeting in the same place. That line helps with watch time because it feels grounded and human without sounding preachy. Now we move into a remedy that most people do not expect to hear in a gut health video. Aloe vera. Most people associate aloe vera with sunburn, not the digestive tract. But food-grade aloe vera has been studied for its soothing effect on the gut lining and for its ability to support a healthier internal environment when the digestive tract feels irritated. That matters because if the lining stays irritated, sensitive, and inflamed, the whole gut becomes easier to throw off balance. This part of the script needs a careful tone. You want the viewer to feel intrigued, not reckless. So the message should be, only food-grade aloe products, only small amounts, and only as part of a thoughtful routine. Never make it sound like people should break off a random leaf and start swallowing it. The safe framing is part of what keeps the script aligned with platform policy and with common sense health communication. Now, before I reveal the main remedy, I want to explain something that changes how people think about probiotics. The reason probiotics fail so often is not always because the bacteria inside the capsule are bad. The reason is often that the gut they are entering is too crowded, too irritated, too inflamed, or too overrun by unwanted microbes for the new arrivals to settle in. In other words, you cannot just add good bacteria and expect them to thrive in bad conditions. You also have to make life harder for the harmful side and easier for the helpful side. That is where spices become so interesting. In a human pilot study, Mixed culinary spices at everyday doses were found to modify the gut microbiota, suggesting a prebiotic effect even at normal food level use. That is a big deal. It means we are not only talking about capsules and powders, we are talking about ordinary ingredients used in ordinary kitchens having measurable effects on the internal environment. And now we come to the standout, oil of oregano. If dried oregano is the quiet hero in the spice rack, oregano oil is its concentrated older brother. This is the form people usually mean when they talk about the one spice that can help clear out bad gut bacteria. Oregano oil contains concentrated compounds like carvacrol and thymol, and these compounds have shown potent antibacterial activity in research. Carvacrol, in particular, has attracted attention for its ability to interfere with harmful microbes while appearing less disruptive to beneficial bacteria in some experimental settings. That last point is what makes people listen. Antibiotics can be life-saving, but they are broad. They wipe out a lot, and many people feel the digestive consequences afterward. Oregano oil is interesting because it has been studied as a more targeted natural antimicrobial tool, especially through the action of carvacrol. Again, that does not mean it is equivalent to medical treatment. It means it is worth understanding. Here is how I would phrase it in the script for maximum retention. If you've been swallowing probiotics every day while your gut still feels swollen, noisy, and uncomfortable, the problem may not be that you need more good bugs. The problem may be that the bad ones are still running the neighborhood, and oregano oil may be one of the most powerful natural ways to make that neighborhood a lot less comfortable for them. Now, because this is a high-trust senior audience script, this is exactly where the safety message needs to come in. Oregano oil is strong. It should never be presented like a casual seasoning. It is typically used in drops or capsules, in small amounts, for a limited time. It should be diluted if liquid. It is not something people should take forever without thinking. And if someone is on medications, especially blood thinners, or has a significant digestive condition, they need to check with their own doctor first. That kind of line protects both the viewer and the channel. What I also like about oregano oil as the top remedy is that it gives the whole title a payoff. The title makes a bold promise. The audience stays to hear the reveal. Then the script delivers it in a way that feels grounded, not gimmicky. That structure is exactly what your reference scripts do well. They build tension, then explain the answer in plain language, then move straight into how and why it works. Now let me bring all of this together with a story, because stories hold attention better than lists. Imagine a woman named Carol. She is 68. For over a year, she has dealt with bloating that gets worse as the day goes on. Breakfast is fine. Lunch is manageable. But by dinner, her stomach feels stretched and uncomfortable. She has tried 2 different probiotics, one expensive, one even more expensive. She keeps taking them because she thinks maybe they just need more time, but deep down, she knows something is not changing. She starts small, not 8 remedies at once, just 3. Ginger tea in the morning, a few spoonfuls of plain yogurt with live cultures in the afternoon, and after speaking with her doctor, a short course of oregano oil exactly as directed on the label. In the first week, not much happens. In the second week, the bloating after dinner starts to ease. By the third week, she notices something she did not expect. Her stomach feels quieter, less gurgling, less pressure, fewer days where her clothes feel tighter by evening. That is how real change often happens. Not in a dramatic overnight transformation, not in a miracle moment, but in a steady shift where the gut stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling calmer. That kind of storytelling works because it feels believable. It respects the viewer's intelligence, and it keeps the tone aligned with trustworthy health content. I also want to mention one more thing before ending the script, because it matters a lot. Gut health is not just about the stomach. People often discover that when their digestion improves, their head feels clearer too. They feel less dragged down, less foggy, less uncomfortable in their own body. That makes sense because the gut and the rest of the body are constantly talking to each other. When the gut is irritated and out of balance, people often feel it everywhere, not just below the ribs. So if you are going to act on this video, don't act in a frantic way. Don't go buy 8 products tonight and start swallowing everything in the cupboard tomorrow morning. Pick 1 or 2 changes that make sense. Start simple. Stay consistent. Give your body time to respond. That is how adults actually get results, and it is the kind of guidance people trust. If you want the strongest practical starting point from this entire video, here it is. Begin with food first. Add ginger. Add a fermented food. Use oregano in cooking regularly. And if your symptoms strongly suggest an overgrowth issue, and your doctor says it is appropriate, consider a short, careful trial of oregano oil rather than endlessly buying probiotic bottles that never seem to change anything. That is the real message here. Stop assuming the answer is always more bacteria in a capsule. Sometimes the answer is changing the environment those bacteria live in. Sometimes the answer is cleaning the garden before planting new seeds. And sometimes the most powerful tool is not exotic at all. It is a familiar herb that has been sitting in your kitchen this whole time. If this sounds like you, If you've been dealing with bloating, gas, irregular digestion, or that heavy feeling in your stomach that just won't go away, type the word gut in the comments. I want to know how many people watching have been stuck in this exact cycle. And if you know someone who keeps spending money on probiotics without getting real relief, send them this video. It may save them time, money, and a lot of frustration. I'm Dr. Daniel Hayes, and if your gut has been trying to get your attention, don't ignore it. The right natural tools, used the right way, can make a real difference. And the first one to remember is this: oregano is not just a seasoning. For some people, it may be the reset button their gut has been waiting for.